So let's go over the Bitcoin trade this morning one more time. This is a D1 entry into an A1 entry. What we're looking at here to start the week was a strong push down overnight last night. That kind of created the bearish sentiment in my mind. Starting the week that way is never a really good sign. We broke the 50, the 800, and the 200 EMAs. That set a support zone here. We called it the Asian range support zone at about 48,500. That zone was tested multiple times overnight through the overnight hours and held. As we approached it, making lower highs, but still holding that zone, I was willing to take the short trade today because the market sentiment line down here on the TDI had been in the sell zone more than it was in the buy zone today. What I mean by that is if you look at from the changeover of day, you see the yellow line, how it's above the 50 value there, and here it drops down into the, what we would call the sell zone under the 50 value. That being in the sell zone more than the buy zone today tells me that sellers are in control. And with that strong push down last night, I want to ride this 8 and 21 EMA cross that happened with the 8 being under the 21. I just want to stay in that trend. You saw there's a pretty big pin here too, showing that it tried to get under. So there's some potential for it to move lower today. But again, I'm leaning into the short bias, following the 8 and the 21 EMAs, following the lower highs, and looking for it to break this zone at 48,500. And that's exactly what it did. Within 30 minutes of the entry, it breaks through. Why I took the position where I did was not just because this is an A1 3-candle formation that comes off the 21 EMA, but if you look at the 1 minute here, you'll see there's actually bearish divergence inside that blue box. See how the price is rising and the RSI is falling? That bearish divergence tells me that this even more should fall over, especially if the 1 minute L50 can get down into the sell zone, which it does exactly when that candle formation on the 15 minute closes. So it made sense to take the entry at 745. And as you can see, it's been basically pain free all the way down. Now, I didn't take any profit at 1.3R. I locked the stop a little bit lower than the original stop down to about here. Once it moved lower, I moved the stop then into profit at 48,650, right here where it is still now. And I took profit once we tapped 2R. My stop is still locked up here. I am going to move that down probably in a few minutes, but I wanted to show you guys that this at 2R, the first time we touched it was right here. That's where I took 25% of the trade. Why I'm still in the trade with a decent amount of the position is because the L50 on the 1 minute is still in the sell zone. I know it can hold the 50, the 21. It could even come all the way back to the 200 on the 1 minute, which would be the 21 EMA on the 15 minute, and it could still hold that shift and continue down towards this green horizontal line on the 15 minute, which is average daily range. That's where it should typically move on an average day based on its last 5 days of movement. However, we don't know that it's going to move that far, and that's why we move the stop down and we take profit at our multiples. That's the Bitcoin trade. Super simple, following the trend, no contrarian calling bottoms, calling tops. I'm just riding the trend, waiting for my exact precise entry using the A1 and D1 signal here. Both signals we teach in the ASFX starter pack. That's why it's our most popular course. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Put them in the comments, please.